What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz here again with another episode of The Legal Submission. And again, as always, please subscribe, like, and visit MMA Payout for the latest in the business and legal happenings in the world of combat sports. Now, in this episode, we are going to take a look at what is happening in the Moises Heredia MTK Global lawsuit. That's the one involving boxer Jojo Diaz, as well as Golden Boy Boxing as a defendant in that particular lawsuit. Moises Heredia, the former manager of Jojo Diaz, claims that MTK Global as well as Golden Boy interfered with the contract of his fighter or fighters as it relates to managing the Jojo Diaz's career. Now, as we know from the news, MTK Global, Daniel Kinahan, has been sought out by the US Department of Treasury, a $5 million reward of some sort for the information regarding and related to Kinahan's alleged syndicate crime operations that have been occurring overseas. Now, Kinahan, as we all know, had been involved in MTK Global. MTK Global, the boxing or combat sports MMA management company, has continued to indicate that it has no ties with Daniel Kinahan. However, this week, MTK Global announced that it is ceasing operations. It did state in its press release that it had ceased business with Kinahan in 2017, but of course, the issues related to Kinahan and his links to organized crime were too heavy for the organization to continue. Now, how does that affect this particular lawsuit? It'll be interesting to see, no doubt about it, with the fact that MTK Global is closing down, ceasing its operation. It does not necessarily mean that the lawsuit will be over. We have seen previously in other episodes of the legal submission that the plaintiffs representing Ms. Heredia have gone and obtained an order of default against Daniel Kinahan for not showing up and responding to this particular lawsuit. With that being said, Kinahan did hire lawyers indicating that they were not properly served with the lawsuit and sought to dismiss the case. At this juncture, that portion of the case is still up in the air with respect to how the court will address the particular situation regarding the actual motion by Kinahan's lawyers and whether they will set aside the default. So operationally, with courts setting aside a default usually happens, and a default is when someone doesn't show up. One party can obtain a default, and that is what happens then after the default is you obtain a default judgment for a monetary amount. You might recall that we saw something like that in the Mark Hunt trial, where Hunt's attorneys obtained an amount of money related to the lawsuit, but that did not go through. Now, with respect to this particular lawsuit, Kinahan is filed something called a motion to set aside, which is setting aside the court order that he is in default. He is indicating that through his lawyers that the lawsuit was not properly served. Now, there's a little push and pull regarding that, a little fight about that we will talk about in another legal submission. So what's gone on right now with respect to this particular lawsuit? Well, as it relates to Golden Boy Productions' end of the story, let's refresh ourselves on why they were brought into this particular lawsuit. So the lawsuit actually includes two fighters, Jojo Diaz, as we know, and Luis Feliciano. And Feliciano deals a little bit with the particulars with the Golden Boy end of the legal dispute by Heredia Management, Moises Heredia. So, in addition to Jojo Diaz, there is the boxer Luis Feliciano, who is or was represented by Moises Heredia. In this particular case, within the Golden Boy portion of the dispute filed by Heredia, it's Feliciano who interacted with Golden Boy Promotions and or representatives of Golden Boy, and Heredia indicated that Golden Boy should not be talking to Feliciano, and they continued to do so. Whether it was the boxer that initiated the conversation or Golden Boy that initiated the conversation, that's a factual issue, but that relates to the Golden Boy dispute. Also related to the Golden Boy dispute, it relates to contractual issues with Jojo Diaz. So it was this time during the breakup of Jojo Diaz and Moises Heredia that Diaz sought another fight, and that was with Shavkatzon Rakimov, a fighter represented by Golden Boy Promotions. Now, there were interactions between MTK Global and Golden Boy, which left out Moises Heredia with respect to the negotiations for that particular fight between Diaz and Rakimov. So the issue there being that Heredia was seemingly carved out of those part of the negotiations, in which he believed that as the manager of Jojo Diaz, he should be included in. MTK Global contends that they were the advisors for Jojo Diaz at the time, and Heredia no longer represented Jojo Diaz during the negotiations for the Rakimov fight. And in fact, according to the legal papers, MTK Sports Management were the ones that negotiated that particular deal. Notably, Diaz did not make weight for that particular fight against Rakimov. It was MTK Global that dealt with the negotiation with Rakimov's managers and promoters to pay additional funds from Diaz's purse to allow the fight to happen. Now, after the fight, it was Diaz, according to court papers, that advised the MTK Global employers and the advisors at the time for Diaz to not pay Heredia his 18% management fee at the time. Now, as you could see from Diaz's perspective, Heredia did nothing, but Heredia was carved out of the particular negotiations by Diaz and Diaz's advisors. Now, of course, we're seeing semantics here between manager and advisors at the time, and a lot of that has to do with legal terminology and terms as far as what a manager does and what an advisor does. And we could see here that MTK Global was working as an advisor, and what that particularly means, what's the difference? That's maybe a term of art and something that is, again, one of those issues in the vague environment of combat sports contracts. Now, the purse for that particular fight was set for $500,000. And the arbitration proceeding between Heredia and Diaz over whether or not he was still managing Diaz and whether MTK Global was interfering in this particular lawsuit went up before the Boxing Commission for California in June of 2021. They indicated that Heredia would receive 18% of the purse for that particular bout. But Golden Boy Promotions, and this is probably why they were part of this particular legal action, provided an altered bout agreement that provided for a purse that was significantly less than $500,000. The Boxing Commission rejected the altered bout agreement, and in its July 10, 2021 arbitration decision, it ordered Golden Boy to withhold $90,000 from Diaz's purse for the July 9th bout, ostensibly probably to pay Heredia for his management fee. Now, even though Heredia did not do any work in this particular action, he had the opportunity, he had the right to do so. The fact that Jojo Diaz did not want him in that is another issue. But at the particular time of the fight, he was the manager of record in the state of California. Now, again, as I alluded to earlier, the Kinahan side it claims that Heredia was ordered not to be. It was determined by the commission that he was no longer Diaz's manager. But as far as this particular fight goes with Golden Boy, he was. So in that arbitration proceeding, the Boxing Commission found that the relationship between Diaz and Heredia was irreparably harmed, and it canceled the remainder of the management contract. So therein lies what happened and why Kinahan was claiming that Heredia was nixed as the manager of Jojo Diaz. So Diaz did fight 10 bouts pursuant to the management contract and promotional agreement. The first alleged breach of the management contract took place with respect to the 10th bout. So they did 9, and it was that last one that they had to issue with. So when the court rendered its order on the motion to dismiss by Golden Boy Promotions, it had to deal with a lot of contractual issues, and it's a little muddled as far as what is left in the lawsuit and what is moving to arbitration. So, for instance, the court determined that the issue of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, which is, again, one of those broader issues regarding the contract overall as far as whether it was done in good faith and fair dealing. That issue is going to go to arbitration, and that's the sole issue between Heredia and Golden Boy that will go to arbitration at this particular point. The motion regarding dismissing Golden Boy, the Golden Boy's motion to dismiss a part of Heredia's interference claims that Golden Boy interfered with the contract. Those were dismissed by the court with an opportunity to amend the complaint. And what does that really mean? So basically, at this particular juncture of the lawsuit, Heredia does not have enough substance to provide an issue of fact related to the interference claim. So the court is going to ask, what types of things did Golden Boy do to interfere with the particular contract? We talked about the MTK Global carving Heredia out of the contract for that particular fight against Rakimov. Did Golden Boy have any part in that aside from just not talking to Heredia? Did they agree to carve out Heredia in that case? Did they willingly do it? Did they omit it? What was the reason? So the court dismissed the claim, but it allows the right to amend. So basically, Heredia can amend the complaint and put in information regarding Golden Boy's particular actions that they claim might be related to their breaches of contract or the interference with a particular contract. And so there you have it right now as far as the Golden Boy portion of the case. Now, the MTK Global issue with Daniel Kinahan will still survive even if MTK Global ceased operations. Obviously, if MTK Global, at least their American unit, goes into bankruptcy, we could see some other issues related to that from Heredia's perspective. As far as the motion to set aside, the court has yet to render an opinion on that. We will probably amend this legal submission if a ruling comes out. But that is that for today. I hope you gain something from this. Hopefully there'll be some conclusion to this particular lawsuit in the near future. And as we see Jojo Diaz's career continue, we'll see how his management will go forward, whether it be through somebody affiliated with Golden Boy or someone else. Once again, it's Jason Cruz for the Legal Submission. Have a good day.